Top 10 Revolutionary Ideas from the Founding Fathers that were never adopted. The Founding Fathers of the United States had many bold ideas, some of which were too ambitious or controversial for their time and were never fully realized. Here are 10 revolutionary concepts they proposed that never made it into practice. 1. Thomas Jefferson's idea for free college education. Thomas Jefferson advocated for publicly funded education from primary school through college. He believed an educated public was vital for a functioning democracy and wanted states to provide free education to develop informed citizens. While public education was eventually adopted, his vision of free higher education was left unrealized. 2. Ben Franklin's anti-slavery efforts. Though Franklin owned enslaved people earlier in life, he became a staunch abolitionist in his later years, proposing an end to slavery in the new nation. He even petitioned Congress to abolish slavery in 1790. However, the economic reliance on slavery in southern states meant that Franklin's vision of an immediate end to slavery was ultimately set aside. 3. John Adams' proposal for strong central government. John Adams argued for a strong central government and even suggested having a hereditary executive, somewhat like a constitutional monarchy. His vision was rooted in the idea of stability and avoiding factions, but it was seen as too close to the British system and was rejected by other founders who feared concentrated power. 4. A Bill of Rights that included economic protections. Some founders, including Thomas Paine, believed that economic rights like basic income, housing, and welfare should be included in the Bill of Rights to ensure all citizens had a baseline level of well-being. These ideas were highly progressive for the time and were not included, though they have resurfaced in modern debates on economic justice. 5. George Washington's warning against political parties. Washington famously warned against the dangers of political parties, fearing they would lead to division and conflict. His farewell address urged Americans to avoid party-based factionalism, but by the early 1800s, the U.S. had already developed a party system, with Federalists and Democratic Republicans dominating politics. 6. The idea of term limits for Congress. Several founding fathers, including Jefferson, argued for term limits on Congress to prevent power from accumulating in the hands of a few. While presidential term limits were eventually adopted, limits for members of Congress have yet to be realized, leaving some representatives and senators in office for decades. 7. A vision of Native American rights and representation. Some founding fathers, like Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, advocated for fair treatment and inclusion of Native American leaders in governance. They believed native nations should be respected as sovereign entities. Unfortunately, their ideas were sidelined, and Native Americans were marginalized rather than integrated into the new nation's political landscape. 8. Ben Franklin's idea for a collective American army. Ben Franklin proposed a unified colonial military force as early as 1754, envisioning a defense network that included all colonies working together. While his idea influenced the concept of a standing national army, it wasn't fully implemented until decades later, and even then, a permanent peacetime army was controversial in the early republic. 9. Equal rights for women. Abigail Adams, wife of John Adams, famously urged her husband to remember the ladies in drafting new laws, hinting at early feminist ideas for women's legal rights and social roles. However, her call for equal treatment under the law was largely ignored, with women's rights not seriously addressed until the women's suffrage movement in the 19th and 20th centuries. 10. A vision of religious freedom beyond Christianity. Although the Founding Fathers emphasized religious freedom, some, like Jefferson and Madison, wanted absolute freedom for all religions, extending beyond Christianity. Jefferson's Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom championed this idea, but there was resistance, and Christianity remained dominant in political life for decades, with full religious tolerance taking generations to expand. While some of these forward-thinking ideas have gained traction over the centuries, others remain as a testament to the bold ambitions of the Founding Fathers. Their unadopted proposals continue to inspire discussions on government, rights, and social progress today.